Children of the River, Chapter 10. The next Saturday morning, Naro, Soka, and grandmother left Sundara in charge of the boys and started off for the Chinese grocery store in Salem. After she'd fastened the chain behind them, Sundara leaned back against the door and sighed. She was not eager to begin shucking the huge pile of corn they had just gleaned from Mr. Bonner's fields. She hadn't minded gathering it. At least she'd been outside in the sparkling autumn morning. But now, to be stuck inside, knowing it was another golden day out there, a golden day like last Saturday when she'd gone sailing with Jonathan. Finally, she went into the kitchen and dropped to a crouch beside the corn, which was spread on a mat. But before she could even make a start, the doorbell rang. She rose again, brushing off her sarong, and padded over to the door. She peered out. "Jonathan?" Hastily, she unfastened the drawer chain. Hey, what's with the chain? This is Willamette Grove, remember? "Jonathan, why you come here?" "I just thought I'd stop by and see if you wanted to go for a drive." Behind him, she saw a tan sports car. He looked puzzled. "What's wrong?" "My aunt and uncle go out. I'm supposed to take care of my cousins." Lucky for her, they were out. If Soka found a white skin on the front step asking for her. "Oh, well, when do you think they'll be back?" "Jonathan?" She shook her head, shuddering. He just didn't understand it all. "Hey, this must be Pon." Curious, the boys had left their TV football game and crept up behind her. Pon braved a look. "Hi, buddy." To Sundara's horror, Jonathan reached out and ruffled the little boy's hair. Naturally, Pon pulled back, clinging to Sundara's sarong. "You're not really supposed to do that," Robbie said. "Robbie!" "Well, we ought to tell him, don't you think?" "What'd I do?" Jonathan said, bewildered. "Cambodian thinks it's bad to touch a little kid's head," Robbie said. "It might make them lose their intelligence or their soul." "Whoa, I wouldn't want to be responsible for that." "Never mind," she said, a bit annoyed. Was he fighting a smile? "I guess I should have called first," he said. She shook her head. What good would that have done? It wasn't a question of calling ahead. Her people didn't believe in that anyway. The problem was him being here at all. Look at him standing there. Clearly, he had no idea why he wasn't being treated to a warmer reception. But why hadn't he taken her seriously when she explained how her aunt and uncle felt about these things? "I wish I can go," she said. I really do." Her eyes flickered to the street behind him. It was probably safe to ask him in. Wouldn't Soka herself say it was only proper to show respect to a guest, even an unexpected one? She hesitated. "Do you want to come in?" He pointed to the pile of shoes lined up by the mat. "Am I supposed to take my shoes off?" "You don't have to." She lowered her voice to a whisper and smiled. "It is good to see you." She led the way into the living room, suddenly aware of the garlic smell that still lingered from last night's dinner. Would that bother him? What would he think of the plastic runners Soka insisted they walk on to protect the carpet? Perhaps their house was all wrong in ways she wasn't even aware of. Seeing him look at the collection of framed pictures on the cloth-covered table, Sundara picked one up. "This my family. One picture, that's all I have." "Not much compared to your scrapbook." They smiled at each other, some of the familiar warmth returning. Together they looked at the photo, a handsome young couple with their 3 children. "This is Samat, Marve, and me," she sighed. "Look at my happy little girl face." "You were cute." He looked at her. "Still are." Her palms flew to her cheeks. He had such a way of pulling her away from the past, keeping her right here in the present. He was still studying the picture, and the background... "Is the background supposed to be Angkor Wat?" She beamed. "You know a lot about my country. Who would imagine an American would know about the ancient temples her people had built in the jungle long ago? My report, you know." Robbie stared up at Jonathan. "You really Jonathan McKinnon, the football player?" "Afraid so." Jonathan shifted from one foot to another, making a face. "Maybe after last night I shouldn't admit it. The team had lost to North Salem. But still, when you went out for that pass, that was great. Boy, if I'd known you were the Jonathan McKinnon when I sold you those golf balls, I could have gotten a better deal." Robbie grinned. "I'm willing to negotiate in the future." Jonathan laughed. He took another look around the room, his gaze coming to a rest on a framed print, a girl with blonde braids and wooden shoes standing in front of a windmill. "I hope you don't think this is rude," he said, "but is there some special reason you've got a picture of Holland on your wall?" Sundara had to giggle. "The church people give it to us. We just hang up, you know, so the wall won't be empty. We don't even know what it is." "You think that's weird?" Robbie said. "You should have seen the picture at first. It was 2 years before I figured it out and broke the news to my mom that everything she'd put up was supposed to be for a Christmas decoration. Suddenly, the roar of a car in the driveway. "Oh no," Sundara whispered. "Somebody come." "It's Mama," Pon called from the front door. "Great," Jonathan said. "Maybe you can take off after all." Sundara stared at him. If only she could make him disappear. She heard Pon reporting loudly in Khmer that the white skin had touched his head. Soka came in. She gave Jonathan a sharp glance, then spread on a smile. "This is my Aunt Soka," Sundara whispered. "She forget her list." Then, with lowered lids, she spoke in rapid Khmer, desperately explaining about Jonathan's report on Cambodia. "Happy to meet Sundara's school friend." Jonathan was still looking open, vulnerable. Didn't he understand about smiles that were only for politeness? "My parents were also happy to meet Sundara last weekend." Heaven protect her, no. As Soka cocked her head, puzzled, Sundara made big eyes of alarm at Jonathan. Clearly bewildered, Jonathan plunged ahead. When she went sailing with us?" Soka's eyes narrowed. Sundara shot him one last look of undiluted terror before fixing her gaze on the floor. "I just stopped to see if Sundara wanted to go for a drive." Soka forced another smile. "You too kind to my niece. We appreciate, but you too busy. You have too many important things to do." No, I'm not busy. I'd really like to take her." So foolish. Couldn't he see he was just making this worse? Sundara clasped her hands, ready to beg for mercy she was going to need. "Oh, you so nice," Soka said, "but my niece have too many job today. Take care kid, mow the lawn, study." Sundara sensed him looking to her for help, interpretation, anything, but it was no use. The situation was past all hope now. She couldn't even meet his eyes. "Okay," he started for the door. "Nice to meet you," he said, sounding defeated. "See you at school, Sundara." She stood, rooted to the spot, her goodbye barely audible.